about this video. Before we play the video, I think we've got to explain a few things. The first thing is that we know for sure that Square Enix does not really want this out there.
Yeah.
We've seen evidence of it all week as this video has been pulled down no less than 4 times.
That's right. Yeah. We have seen, as Scalia mentioned, the video go up and down from a number of different YouTube accounts, and every time within 12 hours, it gets hit.
Mm-hmm. People were asking us to link this video, so we pointed, we don't have a link to the video. We had to download it.
That's right. We knew, and we kind of had a feeling, like when someone had passed it along, and I forget, it was someone during the Checkpoint live broadcast last week came in with it into the chat room and brought it with them, and I forget who it was, but I have to thank them because when we saw it, we knew immediately, oh, this is not going to hang around.
No. Oh, who made the original video?
Yeah.
I believe it was Sapphire 14.
It was FF14 Sapphire, something like that.
Yeah,
I think that may have been one of the original accounts that uploaded it.
Yes. That was the first one, if I'm not mistaken.
And so this has been, I think it's a very, first of all, it's a very interesting video. What it is someone figured out how to explore the DAT files that came packaged with the benchmark.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And was able to extract music out of there too. Mm-hmm. So we have to be remarkably careful with what we share here, because again, we were smart enough to know to grab the video, but obviously we don't want to upset Square Enix. You know what I mean? Like,
if they wanted to, they could just delete us.
That's the thing. Square Enix knows, and we know that they know that if Square,
and we know that they know that we know that they know.
If Square Enix wanted to not deal with Limit Break Radio anymore, they could very easily do that. So we want to try to give them reasons not to do that, right? Like, that makes sense.
This show is kind of important to us as a company.
Yeah,
and we don't really want to lose it.
Yeah. And not only that, but Square Enix, they make a good game. We don't necessarily want to upset them any.
Well, they make a game.
They made a good game.
They make
they make a game.
Okay.
I seriously considered making an alt to sit in the studio with on this for this episode.
Really?
Yeah. And then I was like,
you're
that
worried about it?
Yeah.
Really?
Listen, we've done some things to be antagonistic to SE. This is a little bit more than our usual level of antagonism.
Not to mention, since we're going on being like, yeah, we know it got taken down, we're going to show it anyway. It's like, fuck you.
Well, we're not going to show it, okay? We know we can't show it. We can't just show the
viewer
video.
Count just dropped to 40.
Aw. That's too bad. Bye-bye. We know we can't show it. If we just straight up showed it, we would get in a ton of trouble.
Yeah.
The music from it is likewise unreleased music from Stormblood.
Yeah, we can't play it.
Don't think we could get away with playing that. But we do want to watch it and kind of give our opinions as it rolls. And what we're going to do, where we would pause it, right? Like, whenever we watch a video on the show, people get very annoyed because we like to pause it and pick things apart. Daddy of Light is a really good example of this.
So that thing that you think is the most annoying, that's what we're going to show you.
That's right.
But you're going to like it this time, because when we pause it, then you'll actually get to see it.
Okay, Carletta wants us to act it out. This is just landscapes, Carletta. They're just zones.
Yeah.
I am a canyon.
I mean, look, I know that Juxta could very easily be a mountain, but that's about as far as it goes.
No, I want to see Juxta do an interpretive dance of this video.
Show us what you would look like as the giant ramen bowl city. The fuck, it makes noise?
Well, you can't do an interpretive dance over the radio, you idiot.
So that's what your interpretive dance would sound like if it was interpreted into sounds?
If it was a ramen bowl, yes. How do you think a ramen bowl would be interpretive danced as?
We're waiting.
Yeah.
Oh, that was to me.
Yeah. I hand motioned you.
Are we really doing this?
You don't got it, do you? It's pretty hard.
Can we move on?
Yes.
Please.
Was that a voice crack that I just heard?
You bitch.
Did your voice just crack
Yes,
like you're
it's
going
cracking.
through puberty?
Yeah.
Good job.
Who's stupid now, bitch?
It's you.
You are.
You're the stupid one.
You didn't mean to crack your voice.
Oh, why you so angry?
Anyway, all right. So this is the opening right here. Okay. So proof that we have it, guys.
Proof that we have the video and are watching it. This is not being made up.
That's
so
right.
many people think this is just a rehash
Come
of
on.
last week.
No,
It's not.
That's totally from Samurai Jack.
This is not. So this
Look
is.
at the clouds. Those don't even look like clouds.
Those are not clouds.
Oh,
You stupid idiots.
All right, we got it. We're gonna take it off screen.
okay.
All right, goodbye.
All right. Here we go. So what we have discovered is that this is the underwater.
Oh shit!
This is the underwater portion of.
Well, no, that can't be right because the underwater portion is clearly going to be just a circle arena, Nero.
Nope, I was wrong, and I've never actually been so happy to be wrong. Now, what I think what we're supposed to imply now from the developer blog that we looked at earlier is that this is potentially a dungeon. Now, when I look at it, given that context, when I look at it now, this does seem very much like a linear dungeon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now instead of just a circle arena, it's just like a ball with like a stick coming out of it. So it's like
That's right.
It's like a semen.
Yeah.
Well, you can see here. This definitely does look like a corridor. That gate at the end is probably going to be the gate where either before the boss
seal
room
off
or
point, yeah.
exactly.
Augur 17 says, if you're not going to show it, can you email it to me?
No, we can't.
We will not be responsible for disseminating this video.
Yes, exactly. We are not distributing this video. We are dissecting it for the information to be able to pass along to you, our audience, because that is what we value you. But we don't want to expose ourselves. We don't want to expose, expose Square Enix either. So we're trying to be respectful to everyone, not just you guys in the audience, but to Square Enix as well, and also protect our business.
That's right.
And you wouldn't want Juxta to expose himself.
On a completely
This is true.
unrelated note, I am setting up a private email listing that is a $5 to be able to opt into it. So get in contact with me.
No, that is not
That's
happening.
completely unrelated.
Now, please look forward to it. Actually brings up a good point. Underwater combat. I mean, we are underwater. If this is a dungeon, this is underwater combat, guys.
Okay, it's under the water, but there's not water in his zone.
I stick with please look forward to it. We're underwater and there's combat.
God damn it.
Okay, well, if you think about it then, aren't we always underwater if we, turn the whole Hydaelyn upside down?
Shut fuck God, what the? Oh my
What?
God.
Yes, if we turn the world upside down, we're all underwater.
What type of logic are you using there? It's
Geography logic.
Geography.
Perspective logic.
In the realm of logic, he fights unarmed.
All right, let's continue on in this video here. So it does move down. Again, this does definitely look like a dungeon.
It's a long, winding path.
Very linear, although I do think that the underwater effects are very cool. We see another portion of some kind of city zone here with an aetheryte in the center. A bunch of, we've got a tent over here on this side, and then what looks like a more permanently standing structure on this side, and obviously the aetheryte in the center.
This city makes me think of a Doolin in FF11.
I'd say that that's fair. It is a little bit more heavily forested. It's kind of hard to see because it's a little bit dark, but you do see some trees here.
And just like the little curbs lining the walkways and the structure of the house back there or the building back there.
Yeah.
It makes me think of a Doolin.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. That's fair. But kind of unclear as to where exactly this is. This doesn't seem to be...
What's that architecture right there? The one that's lit up right in the center?
I don't know.
Because that's definitely new architecture.
That's not something that we've seen before.
Yeah, is it like a single freestanding thing? Is that built into the side of something?
It is very difficult to tell from this angle.
Yeah. Because it kind of makes me think of if you think of Victorian era style stuff, how they have sunroofs, like little alcoves that kind of come out but are still windowed in.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. This area to me, one thing that stands out to me is the street lights.
Yeah,
Have we
that's
ever seen
new.
streetlights in any zone?
That's brand
No.
new. No, we've never seen anything like that.
That is so interesting
Is
to me.
Doma more technologically advanced than us?
I mean,
Possibly.
it's definitely got Garlean influence, which, I mean, the Garleans are definitely more technologically advanced than we are.
And I kind of like getting this super early footage because, like, clearly there's more work to be done yet on all these zones. Like,
definitely.
nothing's done.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, all of these are unpopulated zones, too. They're just the DATs for the zones.
Yeah.
We have no idea, how sparse or not the population in any of these cities are going to be. But I think that this is, I like seeing early footage like this and the speculation that it ends up driving. Because that to me is far more interesting than just that having it told to you.
Now, to people that are like LOLing us because some places like Limbs have had lanterns, lantern and streetlights are completely different. Lanterns have to be lit every single night. Like back in the day, that used to be an actual job.
That you have to do as an adventurer.
Yeah, this
Right.
this right here is like electricity. Those are like actual street lights, not just lamps.
Yeah, this
Street lights, people. Oh
my God. No, this to me indicates a level of infrastructure. This is a developed town or city in some way. And this new building that's starting to pop into view here on the left with all the banks of window, are those windows down the front of it?
It kind of, I'm not sure if those are windows or if that's just some type of weird plating. But you're right. Everything about this seems way more modern.
And it to me it doesn't look Doman. From all the areas we've seen of the Doman areas, it doesn't look Doman, but I can't say it looks Alamegan either.
No,
and
it doesn't.
That just might be the forest in the background making me feel that way. But this doesn't really look like Alamigo or Doma to me very much.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And this is actually probably one of the first little bits of insight or that I've gotten into the expansion that I don't want to say it hypes me, right? But, me and Aniro were kind of worried that this whole expansion is just going to be this weeby Japanese type stuff. And though, yes, we have been reassured by Square Enix on multiple occasions that there are going to be many different types of architecture throughout the expansion, now that we're actually seeing it and how different it is, okay, cool.
I'm inclined to.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to agree with Taro, who says it's Garlean, part of Girabanya, and
That's
with
probably a
Garlean
good
tech. Because there is that bit that we have to push past the Black Shroud that is still very heavily forested, and we don't know how much of that ends up pushing towards Girabanya. We do have that one moment in the benchmark before we get pushed into the action of the Garlean and Eorzean confrontation that happens in that one scene where they're showing off all the different moves. I think that this may be that zone. Mm-hmm. I mean, each of the zones, they got to come from somewhere, right? They've got to come from somewhere in that benchmark. I think that's where this comes from. So we'll continue on here. There's also another.
Those look like windows up there to you, or just like plating?
That's definitely a roof right there on the structure. But again, it definitely has a more of an industrial vibe than any of the other cities that we've seen before them. Old Dot has a whole lot of very fancy stonework and masonry that went into it. Gridania looks like it was carved out of the dirt. And
Limsa says the remains of a shipyard, basically.
Yeah, and this is something totally different. This is far more industrial. This is the structures seem less rooted in aesthetics and more practicality. This structure back here, it looks more like like a pole barn or, a prefab structure that was brought in.
This seems to me like it could be a city that is like, it's there to support the soldiers who have to man the wall, Baelsar's wall.
By the way, I think someone may have included.
They did. They just posted a link.
There we go. Yeah. So if you want to follow along, there is a link there to a currently active video.
We don't condone it.
Of the one that is that like we are currently going through. You can go through it with us if you want to, or you can just watch it, put it on loop. I don't care, but if you're,
that's all on you.
Yeah. We'll still.
You didn't get it from us.
Yeah, that's right. No one attached to the show gave it away. All right, so let's keep looking here. Mostly rotating around, and again, before the scene changes right here, we've got this door and this other structure back
bigger
here.
Structure behind it.
Yeah, and again, this all seems like I said, very industrial, very practical, and all serving some sort of purpose. All right, now we get a shot change, very quick succession of shot changes, and now we actually get this pulled back shot that gives us some perspective for a zone. Now, this big wall that we see here in the background,
yeah.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess that that's Baelsar's wall, and that this is the other side of Baelsar's wall that we're seeing for the very first time. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, that seems pretty likely. I don't know what other gigundous steel wall there is.
Right. Exactly. And then, we see right on the other side of this wall, there is, it seems like some kind of civilian encampment that very could be where we were just talking about, the zone that we were just looking at. And if it is, I think that that's pretty cool.
It's really striking to me how embedded in this mountainous region all this is. It's really a very small spot carved out.
It is literally carved into this mountain range.
And it makes me it kind of
carved through the mountain range almost.
Exactly. Like when they built Baelsar's wall, you almost have more of an appreciation for it, seeing what they went through there.
Yeah, well, because Girobanya is already kind of the whole mountainous region sort of serves as a natural divider and a natural wall, but
we need a bigger wall.
Carlimal's like, nah, I need a wall on top of that mountain.
Someone says in the chat, was it Neozect says in the chat, when you run the wall, you can actually see that tower.
Really?
Interesting. Interesting.
Nice.
So one other thing that I wanted to point out is that one other thing that I wanted to ask before we moved on was Baelsar's wall wasn't there in 1.0. What was there in 1.0? What divided the western portion of the Black Shroud? I'm sorry, the eastern portion of the Black Shroud from Girobanya. What was the thing that stopped player progression from moving forward? I don't think it was the wall.
Juxta, you were an esteemed member of the Marmont task force.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
I destroyed the marmots in Ul'dah.
Someone in the chat, if you know, or if you have a piece of reference material that could tell us. I didn't think about it until now, but you're right, Kahlo. I think that the size of the wall, especially comparative to everything else here, right? Like if that's the city, that is truly a big structure, and had to be a crazy undertaking.
In the words of Escalia, it's gigundous.
I'm so glad though they didn't go like the FF11 route of this, where it's on the other side of the wall and we're in the desert.
Yeah, I agree.
It's another forest on the other side. Good. It actually feels like how a biome would be.
Yes, exactly. No, I think you're right. All right, let's continue on. And then we actually...
Holy crap.
Now, we get a pan up, okay?
There's a big chunk of that mountain missing.
Did we not... Is that the same mountain we saw in that one screenshot or the video or whatever? We thought that was in Doma, didn't we?
Yes, some of us had theorized that this may have been in Doma.
How is that in our backyard and we don't know about it?
I mean, yeah, because if this is Baelsar's wall, that is built into Baelsar's wall.
Yeah, I don't know how far north along the border that
okay,
runs.
now again, this was a very to describe this for people listening on the podcast and those that are not able to view the video. We literally panned from that original shot of the settlement.
Yep.
And it panned away from that and up to the mountain.
This giant mountain with a big hole missing out of it.
Now, question, could this have been made? Could the hole have been made by Omega and Shinryu?
Oh, okay. That might make sense.
They did go blasting off towards the north, was it?
I don't remember
think
what
they
the
say in the
direction
quest
was.
line, I don't remember.
Yeah, because even if that big hole was already there, let's say it was caused by the calamity or something, right? Even if we don't see that out and about,
Dude,
you would have to think that lore-wise somebody would talk about it somewhere.
I gotta think that that's Omega Fallout.
I agree.
I have to imagine that that's Omega Fallout.
I agree.
All right, let's move on here. Now, by the way, when we did see that concept art for the hole blown into the side of the mountain, that was among the first round of art that we got before that we knew we were going to Doma or authored at all. So I think most of us actually did link this initially with Girabanya or Alamigo. So that it's not that much of a surprise that exists. And, from where we are in Eorzea, we may not be able to see that hole. And I really hope that however they have the way that you see that for the first time in the game, I hope that it's a good reveal. I really do.
Well, it's not going to be as
Not anymore.
awesome now that we know that it's somewhere. Yeah. Damn it, we spoil ourselves.
Aw.
Whoops.
It's your fault, Nero.
All right. We're taking a look at here's another encampment.
This one definitely looks kind of Domin-ish, doesn't it?
This is permanent. No,
I think this is Alamegan
still think that this is Alamigan
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we
no,
still got
you're right, you're
we've
right.
still got this going on here in the background. I'm not sure what that is.
yeah.
But we do see this encampment area. This actually seems like a minor reference back to 1.0 Aetheryte camps that were just a tent around an Aetheryte, where they're less built up than the settlements that currently exist around Aetherites. I think that that's a good contrast given where we are at this stage in the game.
Well, I think those kind of especially fit in Alamigo, which is still kind of war-torn. There's still, pockets of resistance everywhere that would need encampments like this. I think it fits better in Alamigo today than it would in our sections of Eorzea.
Yeah.
I actually love in this shot here how prominent the wall still is. And I love that idea when you're in a game that there are certain structures that no matter how far away you get, they're so massive that they're still always present somewhere there.
Yeah. No, that's an important aspect to a persistent world is to have those kinds of landmarks.
You remember in Morrowind, you could always kind of see Red Mountain in the distance? Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly. I sort of feel the same way about the nail in Korthus, especially after they put that big hunk of Dalamud sticking out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on in the video. We see more of the encampment, more of the tents here. And it looks...
Living in caves, that is very Alamegan.
Yeah, it looks like there is some sort of like natural cave structure that gives them some,
My Atoa Chasm senses are tingling.
Yeah, I definitely have picked that up too.
I can't wait for the miasma.
Here we go, another big sweeping shot. I love these.
Yeah, we get another big sweeping shot of this zone.
That is very Atoa Chasm.
Again, here just to give you a little bit of context and a little bit of place, we see over here up on the upper right-hand corner the mountain with the hole currently in it. Baelsar's Wall, what we can assume is Baelsar's Wall, is kind of moving across here, and we're continuing the pan now to the other side where we see a big tower in the middle of a chasm. Okay, great. Now continue your Ottawa Chasm jokes. But we see this structure that's literally been built into the middle of the chasm, and it actually reminds me of the what's that one structure from Game of Thrones that's built on the river and is meant like you can't pass unless you have the permission of House. It was House Tully for a while, but then it changed hands.
It's where the Cranog men are.
Yeah, I just don't remember. I haven't watched Game of Thrones in like fucking 8
where
months.
the dude with the ugly daughters is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Swamp Castle.
It reminds me a little bit of that. Like, first of all, that is a Garlean structure for sure.
Yes, definitely.
100%. That's a Garlean structure.
River Run.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Mousimus.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm Mousimus.
No, you're not.
I'm Mousimus.
I'm Mousimus.
So we have this. We've. What? No waterfall.
Talk about the structure.
So that's what it reminded me of right off the rip.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that there's going to be a river run-ish sort of vibe going on
But what's
there.
it kind of like blocking off? Because you're right, it's just in like the middle of this chasm. I feel like it's really easy to just like go around this.
This would be a cool setting, I think, for the next deep dungeon.
You don't know how big that chasm is.
Yeah, I think you're
guess
not
so,
going to be
yeah.
able. Yeah, you're definitely not going to be able to get around that. And then we continue on, and it looks like we can actually see the impact point of maybe whatever went through the mountain. Right? If you follow the trajectory.
Oh shit! Yeah,
That looks like it may be the crater right here. Okay, I'm going to show it again. This looks like over here, this might be the crater where whatever went through the mountain impacted into the
Can
ground.
you tell if that's just a crater or if it's like a tunnel that goes down further? Because I feel like if it's an impact point, it should be bigger. Could also be some type of like launch point.
It could be. I'm going to say that it's a crater because it does look like it has some depth. It's tough to tell because you've got this sort of like step piece of geography kind of sitting in front of it and it's obscuring it just a little bit. But yeah, I think it does have some depth. I think it does go down a little
It's
bit.
interesting you mentioned that about that crater because I was thinking that chasm might be more of the impact point where it like tore into the earth too.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I was thinking the same thing too. And then but it doesn't quite make the trajectory. This actually I think hits more along the line of the trajectory. One other thing that I wanted to point out excuse me,
Okay, this is the last thing you get to point out though.
about this shot because we've shown it a couple of times and I don't want to get too excessive with it. But one of the things that I want to point out about this shot is that this landscape is just dotted with interesting stuff that I want to know more about. Like I definitely want to know more about whatever this little kind of like step thing is over here that's obscured by that long piece of geography. I want to know what's going on over here. I want to know what's going on over here, and I want to know what's going on over here. I think all of these things are going to be massively interesting.
Well, and remember, one of the things that they boasted about, dropping PS3 support and getting more servers is that they can put more stuff on our screen.
Right, exactly. And so, yeah, I think that there's in the end going to be some really interesting stuff to explore here. Now, I think it's interesting that this has like been the first piece of media that's actually genuinely got me hyped for Stormblood as of yet, and it's not an official piece of
And it's
media.
leaked footage.
I know, right?
And I think you were mentioning how much stuff is going on, whereas some of the Ishgard zones, they do feel real empty.
When you think about them, like right now, like the Dravanian hinterlands, or no, what's the second one? The Dravanian forest? I forget what it was called. But anyway, that one was really giant, wide open spaces.
Right.
Yeah.
And it seemed like if you look down at the map, you're like, all right, you got the Nath here, the dragons here, Feather Place here, and then it's just empty everywhere.
Yeah.
But this one, like when I look at that zone, and of course, once you can fly, it won't
Yeah.
be so
No,
good.
you're
but,
right. You're
but
right.
there's changes in elevation everywhere, and there's something going on at every turn.
Yeah, I hope that at least for our first exploration of this, where we have to be on foot, that it's going to be an interesting tour of the zone. That's what I hope. All right, let's continue on here. We get the next scene change, and
What kind of structure is that?
this seems like
Beastman related?
Yeah, this seems very Beastman related.
Would have to be that what's the name of the river folk or whatever, the ones that
Sahagin?
No, not the
No.
Sahagin. The new ones that we're getting. We're getting the Lamia, and then we're getting the ones that
Ninja Turtles.
the Ninja Turtles. They collect like treasure and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Kerrigan, Krog.
The Kojin, yeah.
Kojin.
This looked like maybe this might be the Kojin.
Yeah.
God, that material looks like Cermet.
Right?
Yeah, it does. I don't know. It reminds.
Atalanthia's spine.
Maybe it's that I loved the game, but I see so many callbacks to FF11 stuff in
Not
this
a bad
video.
thing. Not a bad thing though.
No, not a bad thing at all. I see a ton of them everywhere I look, and that looks like a Cermet structure. It looks like something you would see in like Romave.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. Except a little bit more insectile?
Yeah.
Insectile, and it's a little bit more embedded into the existing
Yeah.
landscape, whereas everything like Zilarshan always was very much standalone by itself.
That's fair. That is fair. All right. So we get to see we're moving back from that, and
Can you go back to that? Oh, actually, this one's even better.
Okay.
The changes in elevation again.
Yes.
Look at how high up we are as opposed to where the ground is. And you know both of these are going to be places that we can walk on.
yeah,
not just changes in elevation, but the fact that we just get different levels. I think that's better. We get different levels in like the same area.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So here we are. We see this platform that will ostensibly be able to climb up onto, and you do see there is quite an elevation difference between where you are here and all of this stuff down here, more towards the bottom. And again, you do up in the upper right hand corner, you do see that large impact crater that went through the mountain. And
See, again, I love that all these things are persistent almost no matter where you are in the zone. You
Right.
have these giant geographic locations that identify and mark where you are.
right. And again, Baelsar's Wall just sort of the backdrop for all of this. Sort of the one structure that is the big constant in all of this.
We're so high up on this structure. I hope that we can see enough over the wall to see like a familiar sight from home.
Everyone in the chat
those types of touches are really important for zone work.
Do you remember when you flew on an airship for your
I
first
do.
time and you were able to see the Holocrag on your
I
way to
do.
Sandoria? And
Yeah.
you're like, that is such a cool touch.
Yes.
people in the chat saying that it's probably the Anada Beastman tribe since they are mountainous and the Kojin are more river folk.
Okay, that makes
That could
sense. That makes sense. All right, so we'll continue on here in the video. This seems to be focus. I mean, this is the tower, right? Like this is the tower that we were seeing earlier in the middle of the river. That seems to be the structure that we're on, and sort of. Looking around again as the video continues on,
This-
you get the crater mountain that moves away towards the left, and then you see that this center structure looks like it's actually the tower.
You know,
Yeah,
based on the size of this tower, I have to wonder if there's some other purpose to it besides just, like River Run is to the rivers, and it's like, oh, we need this tower for the people who are crossing the chasm. It's so massive, there must be some other type of use to it.
So, okay, so a couple things stand out to me. Is that one, the light in the bottom there, it looks like one room of that tower's lit up. Mm-hmm. It almost like makes me think of like a prison. Oh. Like a POW camp sort of thing. But at the same time, does that tower not say Garlean to anyone else?
Oh yeah,
it definitely
Oh
does.
yeah, it's absolutely Garlean.
Is it?
I think all of these structures are definite. They're more permanent Garlean structures, and they've been standing for much longer.
Yep. Now, remember, at the beginning of when this expansion was first announced, that's one of the things that Square Enix said we could be looking forward to in our march to Alamiga is because they have been under Garlean rule for so long, no one's been
Right.
fighting them. There's going to be a lot more permanent structures, so you're going to see what the Garlean structures would look like on a longer time scale.
I
right.
guess it looks like very much like it's made out of stone, and that usually doesn't say Garlean to me.
Well, that's because where we've seen the Garleans, they're setting up more temporary type camps. They're not
Where
in
do
it
you
for the long
see
haul.
stone in here? I see steel.
Oh,
That's
okay.
all I see is steel.
That's fair.
I mean, these look like support
beams.
Yeah, steel beams. This looks like a steel catwalk.
This one on the left, though, it looks like it's made of stone to me. Maybe it's just the angle that I'm at.
Maybe and it might just be a similar texture color to the mountain behind it. But no, I think that's a little bit more of a solid iron catwalk.
That could be
But this
because it just
is-
doesn't look like that shiny black steel that we're used to
Well,
seeing in Castro.
Because this looks like something that was constructed rather than dropped in.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. All right. So we'll continue on. Get another kind of perspective. Here we go. We get another look at the tower, and again, you can actually see exactly where the perspective was from the previous shot. It was actually up here.
All right, looks a little small to be a prison.
Yeah. I definitely think that it should have some kind of significance.
Now that
Besides
we're
just
low-
being like a watchtower.
Yeah.
Now that we're lower to the ground, though, that chasm is a lot bigger than I thought it was.
It sure is. But one
I'm
other
gonna jump it with my chocobo.
But again, the perspective of the camera in the previous shot was, right about right here on the tower, and it was looking at these parallel beams that are coming out from the center to that ring. So,
Mousimus has failed us. It's not River Run. It's the twins ruled by
twins.
House Frey.
aw, boo.
Damn it, Mousimus, you are
Not
dead
anymore.
to us.
Anyway.
Spoilers.
So yeah, I love the architecture. I think the architecture is fascinating, and also is at a stark contrast with all of the other architecture that we know.
If we have to take down this structure right here, I say we go straight
There's
for
no
the
way.
jet fuel.
There's no way.
It melts steel beams.
Jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
There's no way. We're not bringing that down.
It could well be a dungeon.
That's kind of small to be a dungeon.
Well, going up, maybe not. Maybe,
unless
but
there's more structure, yes. Going down.
I don't know. We tore through something as big as the Crystal Tower. I don't think that it's quite that big comparative to the Crystal Tower.
no, but it might be similar to Pharaoh Sirius.
Maybe.
That's true.
Maybe. All right, let's continue on in the video. We pan down, and this is actually what I want to point out is that this is actually the battlefield setting for the opening of the benchmark.
is.
Yeah, this is the bridge structure that they're starting to fight onto. The Garleans come off the bridge structure. The
Why would we have been
Eorzeans.
fighting.
Yeah, why are we fighting towards
Eorzea, or
Baelsar's
towards
wall?
the Alliance? Yeah.
Again, plenty of people pointed this out.
Securing a supply route.
The benchmark doesn't need to make sense. The other thing is that it could be on the other side of this too. But it does look like this looked like even a lot of the same landscapes
Yeah,
that were
it did.
used
It
in the benchmark. But all right, so in the benchmark you had all of this skirmishing that was being done down here and moving towards the bridge landmark, and ostensibly there is more if the benchmark is to be believed the way that it started off, that there is probably more.
Oh yeah, because this is like in the middle of the zone.
As the camera pans, and that's actually where we get, I think, this area. I think this is where.
Wait, I thought we were theorizing that this area was immediately beyond the wall at the beginning, buried down inside the mountains.
I think that's actually the other area that we were looking at before that's slightly smaller. I think this is a different area.
Oh, okay.
I think this is a different section. I think this is a different populated section of the map that we're going to be going to, because the Aetheryte is in a different position.
Yeah, and it would make sense that it would still have similar architecture, obviously.
Exactly. So here we see, I would say that this is even slightly more populated than the area before. And really interesting, I think, because this is in the benchmark, it seemed to be where we, as Eorzeans, were coming from. Again, benchmark is not necessarily to 100% be believed as indication,
a source of canon.
Exactly, an indication of where the narrative is going to go, but just kind of an interesting side note. So as we continue on in the video, we now move it looks like just slightly outside of the city area, and we get a little bit of the zone. Again, the image is pretty dark on the screen, but you can see lots of elevation changes. The foliage looks very, very well done, and it looks distinct from Gridania. That was going to be one of my early on concerns, was that some of the Girabanya zones were going to look remarkably like the Shroud, and I think that they're doing a really good job of differentiating the two. And I don't know if that's just in their color palette choices or some of their texture choices, but it does feel different. It feels a little bit more autumny. I don't know why that would necessarily. Maybe it's the color, but it doesn't feel like the full bloom of.
It kind of feels
the Black Shroud.
A little Wajami Woodlands to me.
You think?
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know that I would go that far, because Wajam Woodlands was that was really specifically stylized in my head.
Maybe.
I don't know why, but it sticks out in my head a lot more than this does. Might not be wrong, but I don't know that I agree with you. Anyway, let's keep it moving here.
Trying to see what's beyond the trees.
I think we're just supposed to be focusing on the trees. And then
that definitely looks like the settlement we just came out of right there.
Yes, and to be able to get this final shot, this final look at the settlement, yes, I would assume that we would just be leaving. So that I pretty typical. I think that's a pretty typical shot of most stuff in FF14. Pretty normal. So as we keep moving on here. More, more just your average zone type stuff. There looks to be like a Beastman encampment. It looks like there's something skewered by the side of the road, which to me says that there might be some more purposeful Beastman encampment placing than necessarily
some wandering tribes of some sort.
Yeah, exactly. And then we've also got this little encampment around here as well.
Does this look like we're back in that zone where the tower was?
This is actually, I think, literally the structure where the benchmark starts, because just on the other side of this is where we start getting to that battlefield area, and you can even see in the very distance, just beyond the trees, you can see one of those Gridanian, or not Gridanian, but
looks like a cottage. Is it abandoned?
The cottage does look abandoned, but in the background you can see one of the airships from the Garlean Empire.
Fuck you, Garly.
What? Okay, all right. Anyway, but that was in the opening benchmark sequence, and then of course we also get to this the bridge where that whole thing takes place.
Yeah.
But did you notice what's this burning wreckage that's up on this?
It looks like some type of airship.
It does. It looks like a downed airship, which is interesting if that's just like a permanent.
That's weird. Why would you have a permanent burning wreckage up there?
Right? Isn't it weird? This is. And again,
do you think that maybe they might, because it's something that's commonly used in every other MMO I have ever played, and they only use it in relation to, like Idleshire or Revenant's Toll, but they might use some type of phasing technology in these zones as you progress through story?
Maybe. The only other thing is that they may have been placed specifically for the benchmark. That's the only other possibility.
Okay, yep.
They may have been placed specifically for the benchmark, right. And if they were, that makes sense. But if that's just a permanent part of the zone, I don't think that does make sense. I don't think that makes sense at all.
No, it would have to be either what you said, placed there for the benchmark, or they plan on using some type of storyline-derived phasing technology.
Yeah. All right, let's keep it going here. We're looking.
We didn't start the fire.
We actually get more shots of some of this wreckage here.
Yeah.
We actually see over here that's kind of hard to see, but it's an iron giant that's kind of worked into the side of the mountain, as well as another one of those pieces of airship that's sticking out of the mountain as well.
I do like the idea of being able to go back to like where the battle took place and like all this wreckage is just permanently there.
Yeah, and that's not the problem. The problem is why would it be burning permanently?
Oh, no, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, again, I don't think we ask that kind of question with the wreckage that exists in Northern Thanalan, do we? Outside the wall? No. But nothing I think is actively burning there either.
No.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy.
I mean, you are, but probably not. But not for that reason.
Maybe this makes more sense when you have NPCs placed. Maybe.
Oh yeah, that could
maybe.
be.
That's I mean, that is an important context that we're missing here. To be fair,
I really dig that remains of the airship sticking out of the ground there. It looks like it's been there for a long time.
Me too. I'm really interested. This is one of those things that definitely adds to my curiosity, which I think adds to my natural hype levels, for sure. All right, let's continue on in the video here. Again, we're seeing. More fallout of battle. Taking a look up at the stars.
Whoa! Okay, holy crap!
Now we get a big scene change, and we actually see the
oh my gosh,
the tower stack that exists in the distance.
You climb that tower, you get senzu beans.
In the portion of the video where everyone is swimming.
One of my favorite things when it comes to MMOs is when you can find a particular point in the game where everything that's on your screen just looks like this massive sweeping landscape. This right here is probably the coolest image I've seen out of Stormblood.
You could cut that shot right there and make a background out of it.
Easily. Or that when you go to where the mouse people, the Beastmen are. What are they called?
The kobold?
The kobolds, yeah. When you
Jeez.
go to the kobold zone, there's that part where you can go down to like where
Mouse
that
people. I wouldn't have made that connection
like, well,
ever.
Rats, whatever. Where the cabin is, and you can like look down over all that big mountainous area. Is
Yeah,
another
yeah.
one of my favorite places. Yeah.
This is a weird kind of compliment to pay this picture, but the clouds in the background look so real to me.
Now-
like that looks like an actual cloud landscape in the
I mean,
background.
contrast that with the kind of fucked up looking water right now.
Yeah.
I think maybe when this person had extracted the DATs, not all of the graphical information came along with it. So the water seems a bit glassy at the moment.
Sure does. It
don't
looks
know.
like an aquarium tank.
I don't know.
does.
I feel like two people could cosplay as Yuna and Tidus and get it on in that water.
But that, yeah, like you're right. The water looks like real glass. I like the like shark hanging out over there on the right.
It does look a little bit awkward when it's in motion.
But the skyline looks great.
It does. Now, here is where I'm willing to eat crow and admit that I was wrong.
But he's a robot.
We now we go underwater and see that there is quite a bit more to this
underground.
to this underwater zone or dungeon or whatever it is than we had initially realized. I gotta say.
And it looks again like this doesn't make me think of a dungeon like the last
No.
images that we saw of underwater. This looks like there's a city right
Yes.
there that we're walking towards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's
Is
what
that-
I'm talking about.
It's kind of hard to tell what is going to be a zone and what's going to be a dungeon from this point out.
Yeah, I don't know if this is going to be like our like tail feather or a zone like that,
No,
Annex
'cause
Shrine, but
I mean, maybe it's just a city in.
I'm trying to think of it like contextually. Like in Heaven's War, we have Ishgard. The city is a city proper. And then we ended up having Idleshire, which was our expansion city. We've probably got that as Rhalgar's Reach this time around. I'm trying
And our big city is Doma,
is Doma. So I'm thinking like where like
or not Doma, whatever it is. The
Shirogane. Yeah,
Kugane. Sorry.
where in like the context of the leveling process and in the story is this city going to fall? I kind of think like an Annex Shrine type place.
Could be. It could be. Anyway,
Probably where the Kojin live.
Could be.
and that also could be. We see that there's actually, quite a bit outside of what looks like a city area, and it looks like it goes to a zone area. I mean, this looks like it leads from you're right. This is a very open city. It doesn't seem to me much like a dungeon, unless the dungeon is incredibly linear, moving you through this area.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because like the dungeon, if that's a dungeon, then it is the most like visible dungeon we've ever had. We've never
Right.
had a dungeon where you could see inside of it before you went in there. It's always just a separate zone.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So we'll continue the pan. And then here's I think this is really interesting because we actually see a little portal that it looks like it's designed to suck you in to the bubble. I think that we're actually like the zone outside of it is not necessarily going to be a battle zone, but that we're going to have to swim here.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. We're definitely going to have to swim here.
Technology is pretty sweet that they can design bubble cities with portals that take you in and don't let water in.
I mean, look, this is a way bigger concept than I gave Square Enix any credit for. I'm totally willing to eat crow on a lot of the shit that I talked about last week
maybe
in
we could
regards
give-
to Square Enix's ability to make compelling content for Stormblood. I'm going to walk a lot of that back because I'm really interested in what's going on.
I legitimately want to go and explore this area, which is more than I can say for a lot of the game.
Like young Taiga bubbliness.
Bubbliness.
It does look like a bubble anus.
It does.
There's
Let's be
definitely some
honest.
anus. There's some puckering going on right there.
That is officially the bubble anus.
There you go. You get a nice shot of the bubbliness right there.
God. It's crowning.
And here we see on the inside of the bubble, where ostensibly we would be going. I'm assuming that we would be going from swimming to
Not walking, yeah.
now walking.
If this is like a Beastman city, that'd be nuts. But the architecture of it doesn't strike me.
No, dude, I think you're hitting on something because right here, this to me speaks. This says Beastman all over.
It does. From the outside, though, it didn't look particularly Beastman. It looked very Doman.
I think that this is two different areas. To be honest with you.
okay.
Yeah, I don't think we're looking at the same place.
Okay.
which, I mean, that's also interesting if there are multiple areas that are sort of bubbled off that you end up,
Multiple bubble anuses?
being able to go into. I think that's an interesting idea.
Then that, like, oh man, how many areas could you possibly have like that if there's no combat?
And what's the hook moving between the two of them?
Right.
I mean, let's be honest. Once you get flying, there is not there. Yeah,
Exploration.
the zone movement is pretty done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe they're just saying fuck it. Like, why bother?
Maybe.
Which to me, I think would be disappointing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, continuing to pan around the domed city. I think you're right. I think specifically right there. I think specifically right there, Escalia, that was a
Beastman City? Yeah.
encampment.
Oh, wow.
Now this,
What a shot.
This is I'm gonna guess this is Ralger's Reach.
Ooh.
I'm gonna guess the high walls tell me that. The tent tells me that. Actually, this big ass tent over here, that
That
might,
could well be where that image took
that
place.
could be where opening
The Instagram.
and thank you, Instagram image might be.
Does this look like it was built into like a quarry of some sort, or
Well, the smooth rocks would certainly make you think.
Yeah,
so,
The symmetrical and smooth rocks definitely make me think that this was probably once used as a quarry. And actually,
Or
when
what was maybe the question is what was excavated out of here?
right, and actually now that I go back and think about that pulled back shot that we got of the zone, there is that like one structure that I was like, I wonder what that is. I think this is what that is.
Oh, that could be.
Yeah.
Man, this is like awe-inducing. I don't know, like this shot maybe just because it's pulled back so far. But when I look at this, I feel like you remember when you saw the third Lord of the Rings for the first time. You saw Gondor.
Yes.
Holy hell.
Yeah.
It's awe-inspiring. That's what this makes me think of.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
I can see that for sure.
We're getting some more close-ups of different assets. Well, I think that and I never actually caught any of this in any of the previous material, but just kind of take a look at some of the detail that's being done on some of this architecture that's carved into the stone. I think this is gorgeous. I think this is some of the best looking, and best designed architecture that FF14 has ever done.
Yeah,
I'm fascinated by this.
It definitely gives the idea off that this city has been here for a long, long time.
Which is, I think that's what you want, especially
Yeah.
in a persistent world game. Yeah, you want a zone that conveys age.
My question becomes, how does the home base of the Resistance exist somewhere for a long, long time?
Secret.
That's a good point.
Secret? Oh, great.
And then of course,
Secret quarry.
Yeah, I mean they kept it a secret.
and then of course they pan up to what is probably the most noticeable landmark of all of Ralgar's Reach, which is the gigantic statue of what I'm assuming is Ralgar.
They're not doing a very good job of keeping it a secret.
Wait, no, that can't be Ralgar because no, that's not what came out of the giant bubble over
Oh my
over
God!
the wall.
Stop it!
Yeah, that statue has to be Shinru.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on, we get a little bit more of a look at Ralgar's Reach, moving up to the altar that the main character was standing in front of in the benchmark. Of course, this was, you got a really good look at this in the benchmark. I don't think that we need to double back around to that.
One thing really springs to mind. If this is going to be our Idleshire or our Mordona equivalent, this place is way better than the other two places that we've had.
To start out with,
God,
yeah.
Idleshire is to this day boring as fuck.
Yeah, you're.
That's because everything they added to Idleshire, you couldn't really do
anything with.
And, well, even like Mordona is pretty boring.
Or sorry, Mordona. I meant Idleshire was a little bit better because you could actually go through a lot of this stuff.
There's like fountains and like farms and stuff.
The
There's
garden
steps.
in the back.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But if you even go back to that first shot you showed us, the big sweeping, open area shot where it looked like it was an aquarium where we could see the tent. There's a lot of room for expansion.
They're both way more boring and uninspired than this is.
No,
This is
that's-
far more
that's-
interesting than either of them was.
No, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. All right, so continuing on in our pan around around Ralgar's Reach, seeing a lot of the waterfalls inside. Now we also get to see inside one of the structures that has another one of these tents. And again, if you look at the tents, I think that, juxta what you had pointed out, that some of these tents look like they have, the odd Ergon-y aspects to them. I think that you're actually seeing that in this video here.
You've might have just paused it on exactly that Instagram shot.
Yeah.
That tent in the background, isn't that exactly? I'm bringing up the image on my phone now. Isn't that exactly what it was?
No. If I had to guess, I would say that it may be taking place inside of the tent that we're currently looking at.
Yeah, but that's definitely the weird, sort of ball-looking things.
It definitely is, for sure.
Yeah,
leave it to Juxta to point out balls.
Yeah, I was thinking
a
the
little
same
bit.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see it. I definitely, looking at it, I definitely think that image is happening in Ralgar's Reach, for sure. For sure.
Oh, what is this?
Now, this is, I think, probably one of the most interesting parts of the whole benchmark. This was the very, very end, where you had that sort of force field thing with Cletus makes an appearance.
Yup.
And you've got the whole bunch of people smashing through the force field, right? You get a little bit. We're going to be able to look at it a little bit finer detail here for about 45 seconds. So that's the first opening shot. And as we continue on, it does seem like this is a very battle damaged area. This is a very heavily battle scarred area. There are large divots in the walls in what would be ostensibly creating the force fields. We did see in the benchmark explosions coming out of the machines that were generating the force fields for people to be able to get to the other side of it. And it makes me wonder, what is that going to be a gameplay aspect?
That I feel like that has to be, if not a gameplay aspect, it has to at least be part of the MSQ.
Well,
right?
Narratively, that would explain if they've got this force field that's kind of protecting them. Maybe that's why, because the Garlean Empire should have crushed this Alamegan resistance. They're not particularly well hidden.
That's right. So if they have no reason to worry about them because they exist beyond some border that they just can't get through.
Yeah, let them stay over there.
Yeah,
let them rot.
I mean, being down in this little quarry, like we said, they've carved out stuff in the actual sides.
They have giant statues.
Statue aside, what I'm saying is they may know where they are, but that's also a pretty defensible position, right? They can get themselves inside there.
Right.
So you can take out some of their structures on the outside, but none of those are really permanent, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they're bunkering down in there.
One doesn't simply walk into Ralgar's Reach. It has a force field.
Okay, but we have airships and stuff. The Garleans could just bomb them for days on end if they wanted to.
Again, they could just hunker down inside there, and okay, sure, maybe you might drop some rocks or cause cave-ins,
but again, well, hang on. Okay, so Ralgar's Reach is in Girabanya, not in Othard, right?
Right.
Okay, so if that's the case, then why would they be being routed as heavily? Oh no, I guess
I feel like if Gridania, if Garlemald knows that they're there, there's no reason for them to still be there. Garlemald owns that area. What I'm thinking, if that is a holy place, they might be risking inciting a rebellion by attacking it.
But I thought the force field portions were from somewhere on Othard.
Oh no, yeah, he's right.
Oh,
they absolutely are. I think so.
So I think that we're starting to get at some point the two conflated.
Okay.
So, all right, let's continue on in the video here. Yeah, because here,
there we go.
We're panning away from right now in the video. We're panning away from one of those force field structures, and we're seeing another structure. And the structure that we're seeing is definitely Eastern inspired, and so makes me say that it's not Girabanya. That these force fields do not exist in Girabanya. All right, let's continue on. Here we go. Now we see. Okay, here is exactly what I'm talking about. Right, we see this structure in front of the force field structure. Definitely not
Yeah, definitely closer
not
to Kugane.
Girbanyan. Definitely not Girbanyan.
But again, you talk about an awe-inspiring like set piece in
Yeah.
the background. That is amazing to look at.
In what way are we going to be able to interact with this? Because I think that may be very, very interesting. By the way, I just want to point out here, it may be a little bit tough to see, but on the right side of your screen, just a very faintly, you'll start to see the beginnings of a face from what looks like a statue that exists on that side of the screen that is very difficult to see.
Where at?
Right over here on the right side.
Oh yeah. There's something there.
Yeah.
It's like a giant baby head.
So I think that that's really interesting because not only do you have this sort of portal force field bridge that has been created, but you've also got this big religious symbol that's also carved into the side of the mountain. I think both of those are very interesting. We continue on now. We're getting down into some of the Athardian structures down here. Of course, all keeping in with the Eastern theme, very clearly the Eastern theme running throughout all of this. But we'll continue watching here. As we move in, this looks like that small encampment that existed at the base of the thing with the force fields. And again, this looks a little bit like a dojo, I think.
Yeah.
This is a good way to describe it. I mean, I feel like I've seen this setting in a bajillion kung fu movies.
That's not inaccurate.
So, very, very weeby.
Probably a good place to play Lords of Verminion Go at.
Let's continue on here. We've only got about 18 seconds left in the video. Back outside, we're starting to look again at that force field area. Again, I think that's the walled encampment that you're starting to see at a distance. See some of the outskirts of that, and again, in the very, very background, you see that head starts to form in that mist back there, which I think that's a very cool touch.
This zone feels humongous.
It does. It sure does. And the fact that I don't know what's on the other side of that force field is really compelling as well.
I want to
gotta
know
say.
what's over there.
I know. So we continue on, and now we get a really nice close shot of the force field structure. There we go.
Can you place what technology that is? I have no idea.
Nope.
Yeah, if it's
not
Garlean,
Garlean,
Doesn't look Garlean. Doesn't look.
Could be Weeb.
Doesn't look Allegan or Makai
There you
or
go,
anything
yeah.
we've seen before.
and it's definitely technology. It's not just straight up like magic. That's like tech, right?
The bottom of that leads me to believe it's tech.
Yeah.
And like the little like guns almost that like stick out and like
Flamethrowers?
generate it. Yeah.
Torches.
It definitely makes me think tech, but not a tech that I recognize the construction of.
Yeah. Interesting. That's, I think, let's see if we got one more shot. Yeah, we got one more shot in here that we can show.
Now here's your dojo.
Yeah, here we go. Weeb City.
Pretty
Weeb
much.
City.
So one thing really stands out to me about this whole video, and that is that about 85% of it was Alamigan. Was the closer to us, Girbanyan and Alamigo, as opposed
Right.
to Authard.
Well,
which leads me to believe that most of those zones are done, and most of these zones are not done.
Well,
and we might not see them till 4.1.
Now, keep in mind, though, again, the person who dug these zone DAT files out only has
The stuff from the benchmark.
Right.
So, I mean, you might be right.
It might be wrong, too.
But I think you're connecting dots that don't necessarily
Need to be connected.
I just thought the ratio was kind of striking of how much of it was Girabanya and Alamigo.
I mean, it does seem like that one Girabanya zone is like done. Like it's real
ready
done.
to go. Yeah. Probably our opening zone.
Yeah. I'm really impressed by what I saw here. I got to be honest.
For just being what is possibly two, what are we thinking? 2, maybe 3 zones total?
Yeah.
It only showed off a few. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
that's
maybe
not bad.
3. Maybe 3.
I wouldn't say that it's given me any hype levels, but it has put more hope back into me.
Juxta, how about you?
It looks really good. The only thing I feel concerned about was in that first scene with that giant crater, the mountain that got shot through it.
Yeah.
I felt like there was a lot of area that was just like really rocky and impassable. So I'm wondering, like, obviously we probably won't be able to go there, but how much of the zone?
Well,
would
it does.
actually...
It has to bottleneck you somehow.
Exactly.
Well,
which
It has to. It has to bottleneck you somehow.
I see where Juxta's going, but I don't necessarily know if that's true, because if we think to the Dravanian Forelands, like, you can fly up that mountain pretty quick, even though it's not traversable by foot.
it's true, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like there was a lot of it.
Yeah, I feel like you're not going to be able to fly over any of that.
Yeah,
I feel like you should be able to
feel like it
go
was
to that
really-
giant hole, and there's so much radiation, it just kills you.
I don't know. I feel like there's just so much, like, it just looked really low res. But I mean, that's not really fair because it is like data mined benchmarks.
Yeah, it's out of the benchmark, and it's probably areas that haven't been, like, especially those kinds of areas where we're probably not supposed to go.
Yeah.
Have not had any kind of finishing touches put on them yet. I would assume.
But no, I think it looks really good. I'm really excited about it. I really want to go into that anus.
Really,
He wants to
you
experience
not?
the anus.
the anus is the thing that you're really excited about.
Do you not want to go into the anus?
The anus bubble portal. Great, awesome. Way to be mature.